Welcome back. Now, before we get into discussing what is shaping our nation in terms of politics, health, education, and everything surrounding governance, we are going to take a look at Campus Lab. And I'm being told that we'll be having that later on. So right now, we are getting straight into the discussion on the state of our nation, and that is on newspaper review. And this morning, I'm joined by gentlemen before we have had a discussion on caregivers and how well we can help them as a society. Two amazing ladies who are joining us. And right now, I'm joined by very energetic gentlemen, I must say. That is Shida Michael Kitsao, director at Kaya Nation, and Ojwang Mariam. And who does best introduction than someone who is introducing themselves? So, gentlemen, let me begin from you, Ojwang. Please give us a brief introduction about yourself and what you do.
Thank you so much. I was worried that if you start with Shida, I will start by asking why he's Shida. And yet he's here because he's a leader of a whole nation, Kaya Nation, na bado anaitwa Shida. Asante sana. My name is Ojwang Mariam, or I'm known as Ojwang Mariam, but my name is Vincent Maina, an award-winning media personality, community youth mobilizer, and a love of life. I'm a student of life, and I'm here to learn as we give our facts, our opinions, and predictions and projections concerning the newspaper on this review. Asante sana.
All right, Shida?
Thank you. I'm Shida Michael Kitsao. I'm a trainee advocate at the Kenya School of Law. Yeah, and a graduate from the Kenyatta University School of Law. I'm also a court annexed mediator. Then, as you've said it correctly, I'm one of the directors at Kaya Nation. Yeah, and I'm glad to be here today because I have a political mind. I'm a leader by birth. And yeah, I'd love to have a conversation concerning the governance and the state of affairs with our nation today. Thank you for having me.
That is interesting. A leader by birth.
A leader by birth.
All right, that is what we got for you this morning. Let's get straight into it. But before we do that, Kaya Nation, involving young minds. Do you have plans of giving us leaders come 2027?
Yeah, definitely. One of our main forward agendas is political awareness. So we having that intention to make sure that because it's a youthful CLG and it's led by the youth, we definitely intend to make sure that our participation and our representation is effected in the coming leadership. So in 2027, you can be sure that we are going to have representation in the leadership of this nation. Yeah.
All right, and I love that because despite the fact that they say that our parliaments in Kenya ziko na siasa zao, because they say the most powerful person in parliament is not the member of parliament, is not the senator, but the clerk. So sijui kama mnatutafutia clerk ama nyinyi mnatafuta tu member of parliament.
Speaking about clerk, I think that's more administrative. It's a role that's more administrative and it's more permanent because those are regulated by the Parliamentary Service Commission. They're not elective. So for that, I think it will be on merit. So if we have one who is fit, then why not? If it's up for grab.
You should prepare one for it because you might want your bill to be passed in parliament, but clerk aseme, unajua nini? Yako atutaki. All right, now let's get straight into the discussion on our dailies this morning. I have three newspapers today. I have the Daily Nation, I have the Star, and also I have the Standard. And to look at the Daily Nation, a discussion similar to that of the Standard, saying eyes on the judiciary. And this is related to what happened yesterday, where Boniface Mwangi was released, or the charges related to terrorism were dropped, and there are several others who are demanding the release of 37 others. So if I look at the Daily Nation says, eyes on judiciary as state turns up the heat on critics. It says cult of justice, judicial independence in the country is facing a litmus test following calls by the executive to mete out harsh penalties on opposition politicians, anti-government protesters, civil society activists, some of who are facing terrorism charges and have been slapped with heavy bail and bond terms over their alleged involvement in recent youth-led protests. Will the judiciary succumb to this push or abide by the law and the constitution? A similar story given prominence on the Standard, which says, cornered by public, a flood of disapproval from an increasingly frustrated citizenry yesterday pushed the struggling director of public prosecution to drop the far-fetched terrorism charge against right activist Boniface Mwangi. The DPP later issued a press statement defending the decision to level such bizarre charges against activists, critics of the Ruto administration and protesters after the DCI's terrorism claims against Mwangi failed the test and were dropped from the charge sheet. Kenyans now want the outrageous charges against 37 others withdrawn as well. And the question that we are having this morning for you gentlemen is, what is terrorism? Ojwang?
Yesterday, we discussed that same exact thing. What is terrorism? And the reason was because of the Standard headline, DCI gone rogue. We were here with the blue smile, and stars are aligning that even today we're having someone from the coast. And I asked Blue Smile, what is terrorism? Because I was of the against the idea of charging Boniface Mwangi with terrorism. To a point hadi tunaulizana, kwani terrorism ni nini guys? Anashikwa akona tear gas canisters zenye alichukua huko maandamano. These are things ukiingia kwa nyumba za majenzi utapata. Hata live bullets, but ni vitu uliokota huko hivyo. And you call that terrorism. From the movies I've watched, let's assume I'm a foolish guy. From the movies I've watched, suspects of terror, kila time wakikujiwa na SWAT team, nani wengine wanoma, CIA, FBI, lazima wako na tubom huko, or something that can cause harm to a building. Tear gas, unaitwa terrorists. Wewe mwenye unaitwa terrorist, bado umeenda mpaka kwa mainstream media ukielezea vile ulipanga maandamano, because it's your right and it is enshrined in the Constitution of Kenya 2010, Article number 37. Something even the governor of Siaya, James Bob Agrio-Orengo, said, acheni kukula watoto wenyu hivi, ati mnawaekea charge ya terrorism. What is terror? How has this person demonstrated terror? Hii kesi imeletwa hapa hivi koti hapa kwetu Kahawa. And the judges were like, yo guys, this is not terror. And if Boniface Mwangi is not charged with terror as per now, or terrorism, why do we have 37 other youths who are not able to raise $1 million bail or $1 million bail or something like that, still in courts because of terrorism, because of arson? And then ukingia kwa the same gazeti hiyo ya Daily Nation, unaangalia other people who have been charged with terrorism, includes Kawajiro, includes Wanjiko Thega. Hawa ni watu wako hapo hivyo kwa DCP. But the suspect wenye wako aligned hapo chini kama watu hawa ndo wako walichoma are not from that community, meaning these goons were ferried to come and cause terror. But you are picking mwenye anajulikana. If ufai kupick mtu kama huyu mwenye anajulikana, umwekee charges kama hizo zenye ni za lame, people will see you as a fool. The kind of dramas the Kenya Kwanza government is doing are portraying them in bad faith. For example, unaingia kwa maandamano, goons waliloot, and then unachukua IDs unazieka hapo, unasema hizi IDs zote ni za watu goons wenye waliloot na tutawashika mmoja kwa mmoja. And you're doing that on mainstream media, and you are a lawyer, and you are older than kina Shida hapa hivi. Hiyo ni portraying, ni picha mbaya sana tunaportray hadi kwa world. Unatoka hapo hivyo, unapata vijana wengine wao wako peaceful kwa barabara, na hao ndo wewe utashika upeleke kizimbani ati hao wamecause terror. Hata mimi mwenyewe nabaki najiuliza, kwani terrorism ni nini? Shida
bado unajibu.
Mimi bado hadi saizi bado si nimekwambia, hadi saizi tuna analyze terrorism ni nini. And we started that even before mahakama iachilie Boniface Mwangi. We were here discussing the same thing. Anaenda nikiuliza watu, wewe unadhani terrorism ni nini? Because tomorrow Sylvia, unaweza abductiwa alafu tuambiwa hapana, huja abductiwa, you've been arrested and they will charge you for terrorism.
Now Shida, from where you said, what is terrorism and why is this the surge of such charges?
You know, as you were speaking, I was itching so much because my legal mind was intrigued, and I would want to look at it from a legal perspective. Terror or terrorism or terrorist acts is a very serious charge because it borders the charge of murder. So just like murder, it's an offense that whose particulars relate to a threat to life, whether someone dies out of the acts of violence by use of crude weapons. And so I think I was looking at the Prevention of Terrorism Act before I came in, and to my thinking, because we know as legal minds, the leadership or the government of the day usually has what we call political opportunism, where it in Swahili they call it vyombo vya dola. You know, the government has that at its disposal to use to police its citizenry. So I'm looking at the Prevention of Terrorism Act as one of those vyombo vya dola, where now the government is using it to police the citizenry. It's a very serious offense, and it's very saddening to see very young people who are netted from their participation in the demonstration charged with such offenses. Looking at the case of Boniface Mwangi, for instance, there was a warranty to search his office, but they extended it to search his house. And I'm not so sure whether that was genuine or they even planted you. At this point, you can't be so sure that those canisters and those bullets were either planted or were truly found there. But the preference of the lesser offense now of being in possession of those some sort of arms without license, I think they're just rumor-mongering, they're just forum shopping, and it's a desperate move to try to curb the people's right to participate in calling out the government. So for me, I'd call it clutching at the straws. The government is basically clutching at the straws, and it's using any possible mean to instill fear in the people by charging a very serious offense. Terrorism is a very serious offense.
If you look at what was found in Boniface's house, we have 9 external hard drives, 2 laptops, checkbooks, company seals, stamp duty documents, 2 unused tear gas canisters, and 1 7.62 millimeter blank round. So could this be the reason why they were like, ulitoa wapi hizi vitu and why are you keeping them?
Tumesema tear gas canister.
Sahi, unaona youths wote wako huku behind the scene. Kama wao walikuwa wanaenda maandamano, utakosa tear gas canister mahali. Unused?
Yeah.
Unused aje.
Wamesema ni unused.
Planting. Wakili amesema you can plant. Okay, Boniface Mwangi anafanyia nini unused tear gas canister? Na venye akwadi na watoto rowdy hapo hivyo wanakaa sisi. Bibi yake ni mwingine pia, yeye huwa atuli. Tear gas unused wanafanyia nini? Ni mtu amesoma, ni mtu ako empowered, watoi wake huanza kujua kudrive wakishafika 7 years. Anafanyia nini tear gas canister unused?
Okay. Tuachane na
hard drives 9. Mimi kama mwanahabari na wewe kama mwanahabari, I know mahali nashika do fiti nafaa kukuwa na hard drives card 90. Hard drives sio kitu ya nini, anajiundia servers za kazi zake. We are living in a digital era. Gani ingine hapo?
What about the 7.62 millimeter black round?
Kama tear gas canister ni unused, hii ingine nayo ni nini? Anafanyia nini? Ama anazitengeneza tu polepole, anaunda ammunition, anasema venye mtu anaweza taka kununua gari aanze na kununua gurudumu alafu anunue vioo, so yeye anataka kuanza na tear gas canister alafu anunue hii, Mungu akimbariki aomoke juu ya story ipo siku anunue kibazuka.
All right.
That's a joke.
Ishida,
Yes.
let me get your sentiments before we get out of this discussion on terrorism and activism in Kenya. What is your final take on it?
My final take is that I think the government is perplexed.
Exactly.
The government is actually confused. And I saw an uproar with the legal fraternity that they were saying LSK should take action against the prosecutors who officiate these charges that are trumped up and some are very ridiculous and absurd. So I think the prosecution is not the only player or the only stakeholder in this cover up and this games with the government. So I think we need to have a total overhaul of all the stakeholders, from the judiciary, from the police, from the prosecutors, because it's ridiculous to give a bond of 1 million, because that's akin, or it's close. It's actually translate to pretrial detention, which is against the rights of an arrested person, because the only essence of a bail or a bond is just to secure the attendance of the accused person in court. It's not to punish them. But when you look at some of these figures are thrown in, they're very punitive. So I'd say the mess is occasioned by a fault on at least each and every of the stakeholders in the criminal justice system. That's why the government can then use it can use the criminal justice system to punish or to police the citizenry. So I think we just need to look into the whole of that system so that we close most of those loops that the government can exploit. Yeah.
All right. Now let's leave it at that because I've also heard that the government is giving extreme punishments to either government critics, protesters, opposition leaders. Like kama sentence ni slapping, ngumi, na risasi. Yako itakuwa risasi.
Hakuna slap.
Hakuna slap. All right, now let's call governors a little bit here. If I look at, this is the Daily Nation on page 6. There's a move to audit bursary funds in about 6 counties. And the counties of governors, led by the chairperson of the Council of Governors, that is Ahmed Abdullahi, they criticized the plan by the Office of the Auditors General to scrutinize bursaries, scholarships, and early childhood development education, that is ECDE centers in select counties. Wanasema that is unconstitutional. So let me just get your sentiments on this. Why do you think there might be a reason behind? I know John will tell me there might be a reason, but be gentle.
There is a reason for everything in this world. But the most important thing is for people to understand the why. If you understand the why, then it is easy to know how to solve it. Mm-hmm. For example, the problem of governors, MPs, even the president, having a chunk of money meant for students to go to school in their pockets in the name of their distributing bursaries, and there is a cost for distributing bursaries, is uncouth, is inhumane, and you cannot understand it. It's unbelievable. You cannot understand it. Because a governor will tell his people or his county that I want people to go to school. So every term, that is, we're talking about high school bursaries and TVET bursaries, and kindergarten. Kindergarten, there are no bursaries, but they eat and are given porridge in school by a county government. So the governor will tell you that I need money to ensure that this money has reached that kindergarten. I need money to ensure that this food I'm giving, for example, in case of Nairobi, this food I'm giving to primary school children in the name of Bishina County gets there. I also need money to give my MCA's bursaries in form of checks to give to the parents. What if all this cash, because it's our money and it's our taxes, is consolidated with the Ministry of Education so that kids just go to school the way it was when President Mwai Kibaki was imagining FPE or free primary education. What happened over time? Free primary education still remains as that on paper, but the cost of attending that school so that you can have that free primary education is unaffordable. You cannot afford books, you cannot afford uniforms. 25 bob watoto zenye wanaitishwa za dishi na county, mtoto mmoja 25 bob inafaa impeleke a whole week, but hawapati from our community. And then unasikia governor ameiba pesa mingi sana za basari na hataki audit ifanyike. Ukiwahi sikia mtu hataki audit ifanyike, kuna ukweli anaficha. Na huu ukweli ukifichuka atakuwa kwa shida. That is why people like DIG Lagat had to eliminate their threat before ukweli ufichuke. But you see, ukweli ni kama kikohozi. Kitakaaka, manze kitachipuka tu. Ukweli ni kama mapenzi. Kama mtu anakupenda takaaka, atalipuka tu. Ukweli ni kama kibuyu cha uji. Ikifament one day one time, kitalipuka tu.
All right.
So, our magavana, wajue tu, ukweli utatokea. Na sisi wa Kenya, tuanze kuchampion venye magavana wanaondolewa hizi pesa. Zitolewe kwa MP, zitolewe kwa zieko kwa Ministry of Education, watoto wetu wasome.
All right. Now, let's get the legal aspect of it from Shida. The Council of Governors says that the audit is outside the constitutional and statutory timelines outlined in Article 239 of the Constitution and Section 36 of the Public Audit Act. Do you think that this is just, they say that in any law, there is a loophole? Do you think this is just a loophole to cover up something, or it is true that this is illegal?
Firstly, what basically the Council of Governors is saying, we are eating, so let us observe table manners. They are telling the Auditor General, you should not be making noise when people are on the dining table. So basically that's what they're trying to say. And according to my reasoning, I want to label the issue of the bursary fund as a white elephant. It's a white elephant, as he was trying to put it. Because why do we need a bursary fund for the governor, for the MCA, for the president, for the MP? Whereas we have an option where we can consolidate that fund and deposit it with the Ministry of Education and just have education free and available to everyone. Why then do we need to create this fund so that it's available for exploitation? Then when it comes to checks and balances, you want to silence every voice that comes in checking. To my thinking, when you look at the separation of power that is embodied by the Constitution, the essence of having the Auditor General trying to conduct oversight on the usage of funds, I know there's the argument that the Auditor General their mandate is limited and all that, and the timelines, but that's just in disguise, because the essence of separating those functions is because we make sure that we have checks and balances. Now, the beauty with such is that just like the executive and the judiciary, when you wake up one day and you hear the executive praising the judiciary, that the judiciary is doing a good job, then we are heading somewhere worse than we are in. Just like right now the executive is praising the parliament and the parliament is praising the executive. There's no oversight there. But when such outcry from the Council of Governors is heard, then you can be sure it's about the saw is about to cut on both sides. So we are hoping that with this, I'm not sure whether it's going to get to fruition from the Auditor General and even its enforcement, but it might also be as well as testing the waters. Yeah, but we just hope that the Auditor General will see it to fruition, that the checks are conducted I was looking at the Senate committee headed by, I think it's Ojwang, this senator from the Lake Nyanza region, and they were saying one of the challenges they are facing as
Committee?
the finance committee
Okay.
that conducts the oversight on the governors. I think it raised the issue of this is it Isiolo governor, the current
Senator Moses Otieno Kajwang.
Yeah, Kajwang. So I had an exclusive interview that was conducted on Governor Natembeya, and he says when you get there as the governor, you're first called and you're told, you can grease and oil the hands of all those committee members before you get here, so that we are lenient with you. When you get there now, they tell you, what do you have, what do you offer, what do you think you can offer, so that we extend grace. So I think the already existent mechanism that they're trying to point out to, the Council of Governors is trying to point out to, is already compromised. As we saw, they probed into the issue of the governor, then it got to the floor of the House of the Senate. The governor was salvaged. He's still in office, so he's still going to continue the loot. Probably he had greeted a few hands. So I think the Auditor General should move forward and make sure that the execution of these checks and balances is taken to fruition. At least we can be sure with such, then we are in safe hands.
This is someone who the members of parliament have even threatened to get her out of office. Wanasema huyu anasumbua. So how then does this go further than, sometimes they say that there are people like mchezo wa town. There are people who know it. Like wewe umekuja juzi, tulia upangwe. So how is this going to happen when there are already threats that ikazi unaweza poteza?
You see, there's coming a whole lot of generation of workers who have been so empowered in a very short time that they are becoming bosses. I'm talking about Gen Zs. People, when they were starting out, we've witnessed that the first Gen Zs now cropping into the workstations all over the world, and people calling Gen Zs uncaring, lazy, all these names. But they've been resilient enough to grow through that environment. And then the revolution of digital spaces has helped them to be bosses. In that time and age, it is so difficult for you to use such threats to intimidate that society. Today, we are being saved by people like Nancy Gadongo. We're being saved by such minds. Faith Odhiambo in the Law Society of Kenya. If these people leave offices, it doesn't mean that we will be in a vacuum. We have a lot of people out there. It is the same case Kenyans were saying. Sisi hatujali nani ndo chair wa IEBC. Sisi tunataka tu IEBC. If at all these politicians want even to field their family members, and there have been those allegations that some of the members who made it to the IEBC list are family members to Junet Mohammed. Others are from ORPP. They were registering parties. Now they are the referees, and people have been struggling. But you see, the Gen Zs and millennials don't care. We care about the institution. We care about the office of Auditor General and how it should progress. We don't care about the personality. But we will defend the personality because of the office. The same way, there are people who refer to a person as a butcher of Sugoi, and there are others who refer to the same person as doctor. Same story, different perspectives. Sasa tukiondolewa leo hawa Auditor General, one day, one time, utafika mahali in day of power, si ndio? We expect you to be better. The same case to the Kaya Nation director here. One day, one time, he'll get to these offices. The things we are talking about here, including solutions that bring sustainability and scalability, are the things we are expecting to do them. Because to whom much is given, much is expected. Hizi threats zimekuwa mingi tena zaidi. threats hata hizi ni maneno. Kuna wengine huambiwa tutakupeleka kotini. It's a game, hadi kuna waga na game of EACC. Wewe tumesema nani ni mbaya, EACC wanakuja wanakupeleka. Natembea, the governor we are talking about has just finished his 60-day ban. Hii ban ilikuwa ya nini? Yeah?
He's resuming office today.
He's resuming office today. Sio ni a form of threat and intimidation. That does not cow down. It may cow him down, but as unashuka youths 35 years and below, they are not cowered by threats. They've seen worse.
All right.
I just wanted to comment on enforceability and independence of the office of the Auditor General. Sorry. So about the independence, we say we have the fourth arm of government, which are independent offices and commissions, and the Auditor General is also one of the independent offices that is established under the Constitution. So it enjoys a lot of independence, just like the judiciary, just like some of the other commissions. But again, the government has a way of, trying to manipulate. But those threats, if I was the Auditor General, I think they would have fallen on dead ears, because you enjoy protection of the Constitution. I mean, the constitutional entrenchment of that independence is to make sure that you operate without fear or favor. Now, about enforcement, the Auditor General is the whistleblower. They'll conduct the probe. Then when they give the report, now we have institutions like ESC, as he was mentioning, and the Senate. Now that we're talking about governors, the custodian of devolution is the Senate. So it's incumbent upon the Senate now to work on the reports on governors from the Auditor General. So then it invites them for interrogations, checks. If there are any recommendations, or if impeachment motion should be preferred, then so be it. Also, there's the employment of the ESCC, as you said. ESCC has also the powers to action on ethics and anti-corruption cases that relate to the governors and just anyone in general. So I think the Auditor General's report should be acted on by the necessary officers, including taking some of them to court, so that they take responsibility of their actions. I mean, we saw the former Kiambu governor. I think he's still in prison now, and I think that should serve as a reason, as an example. But the problem is, again, as I've said, political opportunism. Someone was cracking a joke and was saying, if Waititu was in good terms with the current regime, he would have survived. But because he was not here nor there, then he is now eating his humble pie somewhere in the Kunguru uniform. So most likely. So I think it's an non-starter for the Council of Governors to try to throw back and forth with the Auditor General. They should just let the Auditor General as an independent office to conduct its business and let the cause follow its natural way.
All right.
Yep.
Ile ya kama hakuna makosa mbona unaficha. Now let's move a little bit to there are two issues I want to talk about. One is the return of Raila Odinga on front pages, and the second one will be the surge of strike among high school students. So we'll begin with Raila Odinga. We saw him recently on a media interview, and it's like he's getting back on his feet. And the Star today says that Raila ODM 2027 game plan exposed. There's someone who said that if you want to listen to Raila Odinga, listen to Sifuna, Wanga, the people around him. And wao wanasema
Not the people around him,
because all of them are around him, but ukiwasikiza
specific.
Kuna wenye
They speak the language of the master.
Yes, they speak the language of the master, and it's like it's planned, because you'll hear them saying that ODM is a democratic party. Everyone is free to speak their own minds, but there are specific people, when you listen to them, you'll hear this is the mind of Raila. So Gladys Wanga says our position is let people talk. Nothing cannot be resolved if people are given a chance to express themselves. So Raila Odinga also said that he's pushing intergenerational dialogue. Something that someone said, I won't mention the name, if Raila Odinga was part of the negotiated with the colonialism, we would still be under their leadership. Now, the return of Raila Odinga in the front pages of the newspapers today is the Star, and we probably expect to see subsequent headlines that are mentioning Raila Odinga. Signals that this is my mind, that this might just be, let's stay together while it lasts, and then when it comes to 2027, kila mtu aende njia yake. Let me begin with this, Sheda. What do you think about this, the Komsi Komsa relationship of Raila Odinga with the government?
Politics is a game of convenience, a game of interests. When it's convenient, it's good. When it's not convenient, it's bad. Again, as I've said, they're speaking the language of their master, but again, they're also on the dining table. So Raila has to be reprimanding them. You should not be speaking and you have food in your mouth. Can you just chew slowly? And when you're done, maybe you can speak. So it's the same thing. And I'd say right now, in the normal slang would say wanna feature white. You can't be so sure with whatever a politician says. You must take it with a pinch of salt, because in politics, one day is a very long time. So we are not sure about his exit, but one thing we are sure at the moment, they're working with Ruto, and they are in government, and they are in bed with government. So it's more convincing to believe that they will work together even into 2027. Mm-hmm. But they're just holding their support, because Raila has a support base that he has to sustain for him to remain politically relevant, because minus which then he cannot guarantee the broad-based government a return into power. Also, minus which he himself cannot stand on his own legs when he decides to dish the ship and maybe chart his own way. So I think he's just seeking political relevance. He wants to remain politically correct. He wants to remain politically relevant, so that he can either use it to trade, or he can use it to again cast his heart into the race. But for me, as a former fanatic of Raila Odinga, I've been a fanatic. I've rooted and voted for him since I became politically aware. Even in the latest, or in the recent election, it will be very difficult for him to convince me to let him have another bite of the cherry in 2027. And I'm sure for most people, because again, it doesn't reaffirm whatever they say is their best interests at heart for the young person. I mean, if you truly believe that you are for the young people, then I think you'd let continuity take course, in that those whom you've mentored, have trust in them, let them continue the journey. Also, ODM is now, according to my thinking, is now at a limbo, because most of its fan base is thinning, it's slimming. For instance, at the Coast region, it enjoyed a very, very big support. But in 2022, the support was divided. PAR came, it got a share. UDA came, got a part of its share. Every party came and got its share. So I think ODM is at the verge of, with Raila's exit, what will be next? Where will we draw the relevance? So I think it's a confusion altogether, because most of the people now have actually realized that with ODM, I'll give an example of the current PS from Kilifi, Fikirini Jacobs. He was very strong, he was very promising, but it got a point akapangwa. Akaambiwa sasa wewe now let's clip these nails and they'll regrow. in 2027 you'll have something else. So just forfeit your interests, will panga you somewhere. That's what most of the big parties are notorious for. They promise the young persons, but now when it gets to nomination, you can't get past that. It has to be someone, it has to be Wanga, it has to be that politician. So I think it's a game of convenience, it's a game of interests, but right now it's unclear. The future is unclear. Yeah. So
there is a caricature that is sharing your sentiments here, and it's Raila Odinga addressing. It's like a podium, Raila Odinga addressing probably the public, and it's whatever what is throwing to the public is abductions, but behind there is a character, I think, of Ruto, and it talks about Gen Z, health, security, education, economy, foreign policy. But what Raila Odinga is throwing is abduction, and it says, let's keep juggling till 2027. Do you share the same sentiments that is shared on the caricature?
Never. This is what
Raila, deep down, is confused, just like his followers who have left, because people have not left because he has certainly been bad. If he was bad, he was bad all along. If he was good, he was good all along. But he's confused himself, and I know why. I'm an extrovert myself. Born in 93, after 1992 general elections, of a mother from ghetto, Majengo ya Nyeri, and a father who has just been elected as councillor, Majengo. Two different worlds. One world of diplomacy, another world of chaos, confusion, and struggles of the ghetto. Through that life, I have loved the process of learning. I first interacted with Raila Odinga in 2003 at the age of 10. He had just helped Kibaki by saying Kibaki Tosha. He had united with our people because I'm born in Mount Kenya. And he had been given a seat as minister for roads. He was nicknamed engineer because of the kind of transformation he did. At that particular time, I wanted to be a super CS like him or Msikari Combo, because Msikari Combo was trending too. And you know I love good things, I love good PR, I love all these things. In the year 2005, Raila Odinga shakes the world by saying, no, that constitution that the government wants to give you is bad. He rallies the people all over the country in a yes for banana and a no for orange campaign, and he wins. I loved how resilient he was. And from that movement, ODM came up. By the time we were reaching 2007, Kalonzo Musyoka had become confused about the story and journey of Raila and decided to exit by forming ODMK. That later became Wiper Democratic Party. After losing in 2007, the country sinks in chaos. We fight, all of us, we fight. By then, Gen Zs are young. I'm younger. I'm at the age of 13 in the year 2008 when the chaos are happening. I'm seeing them on news, a platform I wanna be in. At that time, people like Boniface Mwangi are trending on the Standard because of the photo they are covering. They are out there sharing the stories of people who are suffering. From that point, I want to be a journalist more. But Raila has still inspired the story and the journey because he agreed to sit down and talk with the president then, the late Mwai Kibaki, under the mediation of Kofi Annan. I loved that process. How the Kenya was, how we all came together in the grand coalition. And there was no difference between a Luo and a Kikuyu. So I know when people talk, something good happens. From these talks, we got a constitution now that Baba was happy with, Mwai Kibaki was happy with, Uhuru Kenyatta was happy with, Musalia Mudavadi, but Ruto was not happy with it. it is the year 2010. I rally in the red and green campaign for yes and no. Baba does something good. But kwa nyumba yake, people are still complaining, oh baba anatutenga, oh baba anatutenga. But because of the greater good, myself, I'm not seeing this shida with the baba. But history ingine kutoka 2012 kukuja hivi Gen Zs wote wanajua, ni kuje tu 2025. The people feel betrayed by that same person I am calling a role model. Some of these people includes Cleo Malala, Deputy Party Leader DCP, who said that just like myself, he was a Baba fanatic because of that. Kaya Nation Director has said the same thing, that he was a fanatic because of his stature. Right now, we are talking abductions, we are talking chaos, we are talking, the NADCO report had 10 key agendas, which included addressing the cases of abductions, compensations for those people who died during the protests, which has not happened. Then we are telling, Baba is telling us, ile kuongea tuliongea guys, ilikuwa joke, niko na ingine noma, inaitwa conclave. Na guys, ini intergenerational. It's just talking. When do we do? If Baba was on people's side, with all this chaos, can cheat, can die, I believe by now we would have the same Baba as a caretaker president. But he decided to betray those people. Yet the Constitution of Kenya, Article number 1, including in the preamble, gives all the sovereign power to these people of Kenya. And he chose Ruto. After choosing Ruto, what has changed? We are going to talk again. What has changed? Simple things. Stop abductions. You promised us to stop abductions pre-2022. You even saw that ukieka Biblia chini. You even added 41 judges that were fired by, that President Uhuru Kenyatta had failed to hire, so that we can have more justice in our courts. Today, even the Chief Justice, former Justice, is crying for justice, and he wants to run for presidency. Baba, is he still on the side of the people? Are the people confused just as Baba? What is the future of ODM? I can tell you one thing. We are in a new world order transition, whereby every system is shaking because of the Gen Z. Gen Z hawatesi Kenya pekee. And this new world order, because the older generation are our parents and our grandparents, they are not there to fight us. It's only Ruto who is fighting us. I can prove it. When his son George Ruto brought in Nganya, called mood, everyone went in a frenzy mood. They were happy. Why? Because someone had done something good. Then, if the war of Kenyan youths and their president is personal, Baba should not interfere. He was just supposed to be on the side of the people, not to betray the people. So
right.
ODM will break again. It is not the first time ODM is breaking. I've told you that, right? Thank you.
All right, so ODM is breaking. Is this a way of finding relevance ahead of the 2027 elections, Shida?
Yes, I've said, and I want to reiterate, it's a way of finding, of amassing relevance, which is misguided. Because again then, when we backpedal to last year, during the the heightened demonstrations, and when now Ruto went fishing and he netted Baba, trying to bring him on board to see if Baba can, try to quench this thirst of the youth. One thing that the youth are agitating about is good governance, economic alleviation, economic status alleviation, because at the moment, the economic situation is tough. And good governance can be, we can get good governance from a good leader, not necessarily whether it's Baba or Ruto or Gachagua or Kindiki. So as the Gen Z, their agitation is we want good governance, whether it's by one of us, whether it's by the current government, whether it's by the opposition. We just want good governance where people take responsibility and accountability. On the other hand, the political elite class now is taking advantage of the situation. For instance, when you look at the opposition, they're now not reshaping, but they're restructuring themselves and posing as the best option or the best alternative. Whereas the government is also trying to make it them versus us affair. So what they see is an opportunity that if we get hold of this Gen Z and this whole uprise of the Gen Z and the millennials and just the youthful population, then you've aced it.
Okay.
So that's the opportunity that they're seeing. Whereas now what we want is good governance.
All right.
Yeah, so I think with that agitation, if it's not well mended before then we'll have to take greater steps to make sure that we bring sanity to the leadership of the nation, and which maybe might include asking our fellows to take up such elective positions.
All right. Even as we take our final conclusion, I'd like our conclusions to center on Harambee Stars' withdrawal from CECAFA. The four nations, despite traveling to the venue, and also the okay that Kenya is given to host the 2024 CHAN. So that is where our final remarks will be based on. But right now, I just want a quick fire question where someone said, this was during an interview, that it's not the duty of Kenyans to love the president or any political leader. It is the duty of their wife, their children, their family members. And right now I'm hearing you say that the young generation want accountable leadership. So would you vote anyone that is not President William Ruto, or would you vote someone based on their manifesto? Because currently the leaders that are fronting themselves for the presidential bid, we have Matiang'i, we have Maraga, we have recently, yesterday, Gachagua said that he's also fit to be a president of this country. So we have the ODM who have not decided yet. We have Martha Karua, we have Kalonzo, we have Eugene. So we have all these people who have been in politics since. They've been in positions that have impact. They can bend things, but we have not seen that happen. So what are you voting for?
Apart from, I think, CJ Emeritus Maraga, all the other you've mentioned, they belong the same class as William Ruto. What I'd say, if I was to say I'm allergic to oranges, but if you give me orange juice, I'll take it. It's absurd. So technically, someone saying I don't want Ruto, but I can vote in Kalonzo, or I can vote in Matiang'i, is basically saying, mimi sikuli machungwa, lakini ukichukua machungwa ukikamua, I can take the juice.
Sikuli nyama na kunywa soup.
Exactly. So, if we have another option like Maraga, someone who, from his leadership in the judiciary as CJ, he has not had a lot of issues, especially with respecting the rule of law, furtherance of socioeconomic developments, then we can give him the benefit of doubt. But as for all these other options that we've already had a test of their leadership, I mean, it's only a bad student of history that would consider them as newbies or as new options. But they are all belonging to the same class.
All right, John?
Kalonzo is a good uncle who has lost credibility. I'll tell you why. In the year 2007, Kalonzo was just like former Chief Justice or Chief Justice Emeritus David Maraga. He was the voice of reason in that race. But bado farasi walikuwa wangapi? Farasi wa kwanza alikuwa Mwai Kibaki, farasi wa pili Raila Odinga. So Kalonzo was trying to kupita katikati yao. In the year 2013, we had people like Martha Karua. She was a voice of reason, and she went for the same seat. We had people like Peter Kennedy. They lost terribly. In 2017, we had Mwalimu Dida. Mwalimu Dida had great plans for this country. We did not give the plans because of the electorate. In 2022, we had two sober candidates, according to me. But as we were nearing, bado tulibaki na farasi wawili. I had believed in Roots Party I hosted on this platform the running mate, Justina Wamai, and they had a great plan of using hemp and all these things. But as 2022 general elections neared, it changed from using hemp to snakes to hyena scrotum and testes, and we wondered, okay, then where is the economic empowerment we were talking about? Because you are so sure that this thing that our parents call bad, this thing that our community call ngwai, can save us. Then saizi unaanza kutuambia hapana, tunahitaji tuongeze tunyoka hapo hivyo, sijui ziko na mamilioni, and we were left with two people. In those two people, no one really believed in them as president. People were counting on their running mates. For example, for a person like I always loved Baba. So I wanted to vote for Baba for the very first time in my life. And I was in Jubilee, both as an MC, both as a media person, and a ground mobilizer. But Mother Karua stamped it. I asked myself a question. During the BBI, the people who were fighting BBI were the then deputy president behind the scene, President Ruto, and Mother Karua. But in 2022, Mother Karua doesn't want to be a running mate to Ruto and goes to Baba. I ask myself, why? Then former President Uhuru Kenyatta keeps crying that mkichagua huyu jamaa manze mtaumia, hamjui. Heri huyu mimi nilikuwaga naita mganga. Because former President Uhuru Kenyatta called Raila mganga. He called him Kemodo Kegoroki. But still in 2022, he told the people of Kenya, mimi tumekuwa na Ruto na tumetembea.
Alright.
Na nimekuwa na huyu baba. But watu hawakusikia. Saa hizi, if I'm asked to talk, I would speak in my own open mind and say the electorates are poor. The electorates are unlearned or uneducated. They care about money. The only candidate who can save this country as a president right now is David Maraga.
Okay.
But he needs to get money to go and campaign. Ndio watu kama Kaya Nation Director waache kusema tukapata mtu mwingine kama Maraga. Why are they feeling this yet Maraga is Chief Justice Emeritus? Okay. It is because anakaa kama pua. Akikaa kama pua anakaa kama sisi, tunaanza kujiuliza, tunasaidiana aje? Huyu mwingine akuja turushie punch, tunapeleka kura huko. So if we will not be able to get David Maraga there, we get Matiang'i there, then we have 5 years of getting a good president. We just don't want Ruto. Pale kwa ground wanasema, ukaweka kondoo hapa na Ruto hapa, bado atachagua kondoo. Walai, it's not me. Waulize.
Alright. Umesema sio maneno yako, ni maneno ya ground.
Yeah, I'm a reporter.
Let's end it at that, and that is a discussion. It is very lengthy because we will also to talk about how former President Uhuru Kenyatta is shaping the 2027 election silently, but we don't have time for that. We'll have that discussion in other coming shows right here on Rise Today. That is KUTV Biashara Tuesday or Art and Culture Monday. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning, for allowing us to grace your screens this morning. And if you're following us on YouTube at your time of convenience, thank you so much for staying with Biashara Tuesday until this far. My good name is Anyangwa Sylvia. See you next time.